Cedar Fair rarely ever invests money in this park.
Their last major coaster came in 2007 with Renegade, so they're looking at one of the biggest droughts in the chain.
Next up is Valleyfair, and I too am predicting that they will get nothing.
Making the top 10 is Valleyfair. Now, this is not too much better than Michigan's Adventure, honestly, because outside of Renegade, which is a phenomenal GCI, their coaster lineup is kind of garbage, actually.
Like many others out there, I believe a small B&M inverted coaster would really round out this coaster lineup, but I just don't see it happening anytime soon.
Yes, we've all heard it before. Valleyfair is never going to get a brand new roller coaster. And for a while, it really did seem like that because it's been almost 20 years since Valleyfair has added a new roller coaster, which is just crazy and out of hand. We Valleyfair fans could only dream of getting a brand new roller coaster, but those dreams never really came true, did they? But that's about to change, and those hopes and dreams of Valleyfair getting a brand new roller coaster are starting to come true. Now, I know what you're thinking, and yes, I've covered Valleyfair's next roller coaster and the future of Valleyfair in plenty of videos on this channel previously. And you've probably heard about this topic on some other videos on YouTube recently as well. I don't want to repeat myself, and I don't want to say what's already been said, so in this video, I'm going to try my best to keep this as much new information as possible. We'll see how well that goes because, I mean, that's the consequence for posting a video so late. Sorry about that. Anyways, in this video, we're going to talk about what exactly Valleyfair is planning and also what could be in the future for Valleyfair, not just this next roller coaster, but even further than that. Now, there is going to be some speculation in this video, so for some of this video, I want you guys to suspend all disbelief and just go with it. But I promise you that the majority of content in this video is going to have some solid proof for this case. I'm also going to invite a friend of mine. You may have met him on my other videos or vlogs. His name is Mason, and he has a brand new roller coaster channel on YouTube. So after you watch this video, I want you guys to go ahead and subscribe to his channel. It's called Minnesota Coasters. It has great content, and I want you guys to give him a nice warm welcome to YouTube. So without further ado, let's get into the video.
Alright, first I want to briefly talk about why Valleyfair stopped getting roller coasters in the first place, because believe it or not, Valleyfair would at least get 2 new roller coasters each decade since Cedar Point bought them in 1978, but the 2010s was the first decade where Valleyfair didn't receive any roller coaster. So the question is, what exactly caused this to happen? Well, what's interesting is that it's not because of Valleyfair's attendance not being up to snuff with the bigger Cedar Fair parks. It's because of 2 major events. The first one takes place in 2006 when Cedar Fair bought the 5 Paramount parks off of CBS. And let's just say that when Cedar Fair first got their hands on these parks, they weren't in the best shape from Paramount, so Cedar Fair had to focus a lot of time, attention, and money into improving these Paramount parks. So throughout the 2010s, Cedar Fair was busy improving every single Paramount park, which from a business perspective was a very smart business decision. And because of that, all of the Paramount parks are much better off, except for one of them. The second reason is the 2008 recession. During this time, the US economy was definitely a bit rocky, and that combined with Cedar Fair trying to invest in the Paramount parks meant that Cedar Fair was very tight on cash and just couldn't afford to invest in their original parks, except for Cedar Point, of course. So those are the 2 main reasons why a brand new roller coaster was absent from Valleyfair in the 2010s. And of course, we all know that 2020 was not a good year for anything, so that also definitely set Cedar Fair back. But several months ago, something very important happened. Worlds of Fun in Kansas City, Missouri, which is on the same level as Valleyfair, announced that they're going to build a brand new roller coaster for 2023 called Zambezi Zener. And what's even more exciting is that recently it was discovered that Dorney Park is planning a new roller coaster of their own to come out very soon. Not only is this great news for Worlds of Fun and Dorney Park, but it's also amazing news for Valleyfair. Why? Well, this shows that Cedar Fair is going to invest in their smaller parks again. After a long decade of waiting, Worlds of Fun, Dorney Park, and Valleyfair are finally back on track. Alright, now it's time to bring onto the show my friend Mason, aka Minnesota Coasters, and ask him a few questions and discuss stuff about what he learned at the Valleyfair Freeze event that happened earlier this month. So, let's get right into it. Alright, so Mason, you were at the Valleyfair Freeze event, which I wanted to be there, but I couldn't, unfortunately. So, you got lots of information, I hear, so...
Yes, we did.
So, yeah, I'm just going to ask you a few questions that we can discuss. So the first one is, what kind of coaster is Valleyfair getting? So, did they talk about that at all, or...?
So Raul Renborg, the park GM, he was pretty secretive about like that information.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, in Cedar Fair's earnings calls, smaller parks in the Cedar Fair chain like can expect to get a new coaster at some point in the future. So that's just for every park. Even Michigan's Adventure is included in that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But so I don't really know like what model we'd get, but given the like manufacturers that Cedar Fair likes to work with and Valleyfair's needs, I would say like most likely either like a B&M invert or like a B&M dive, something like that with like a new coaster with inversions. But like I also have like two wildcard guesses. Those like being either an RMC Raptor, not sure because I don't know how RMC's relationship with Cedar Fair is.
Well,
but,
it doesn't Raul like already like he loves RMC Raptors, right? Like
yes, he liked the model, but the problem is that Cedar Fair corporate might not want to work with RMC. That's just what some people are saying, but I don't know. We'll see. My other wildcard pick is a new gen Vekoma, just like any new gen Vekoma.
So when do you think this roller coaster would come to Valleyfair? Because I know a lot of people are talking about 2025, but I don't know. I kind of feel like 2026. What do you think?
I would say it's most likely 2026, and it's like not even close. Because it's like it just makes so much sense because it's the 50th anniversary in 2026, and then they can still ride the wave of having a new coaster for the World Expo in 2027.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. And also, you know, Worlds of Fun's getting their new coaster for their 50th, so...
Yep, right. So it makes sense. It lines up with Worlds of Fun. It is possible they do 2025 too, but I just think that's like less likely. But if they are doing it in 2025, then we will know about it like about a year from now, because think about it. You know, we just saw the blueprints for Dorney Park's probably dive coaster.
Mm-hmm.
So if it is 2025, we'll know about it in about a year.
So if it is 2026, that kind of opens the door with this question. Did you hear any talk about any plans for flat rides possibly coming to Valleyfair in the future?
So Raul didn't really say anything specifically about flat rides, but Valleyfair like sent us a survey after we left the event, which kind of asked us a bunch of questions about the experience. But they also asked us like what kind of new coaster we'd like, and there was another question asking us what kind of flat rides or water park expansions we'd like to see. So like that, to me, that shows that they are also looking into adding new flat rides. And I think if Valleyfair's coaster does come in 2026, actually 2025 would be a great year for a new flat ride.
Yeah.
Or 2027, either of those 2 years.
Or a water park expansion, because they had that Looping Starship plot they're not using right now, so...
That's true.
Yeah, interesting. So this is kind of a question that I've been wondering, because I talk a lot about this stuff on my channel, but did Valleyfair say anything on plans for possibly removing Excalibur or Steel Venom?
Yes, and it's good news for both. So we went like pretty into depth with this with Raul. In the past couple of years, Valleyfair got a new control panel for Excalibur, and those things are super expensive, like tens of thousands of dollars. Like that's a pretty big investment for Excalibur. So that, you know, is a good sign that it's here to come until at least, you know, a few more years.
Cool.
But what was even better is that Raul said that Excalibur absolutely will not be removed unless there is a major and satisfactory replacement for it.
Oh, really? So they're not going to do the parking lot for Soak City thing?
Right. Well, so I think what happened with that was that because Excalibur sits in the flood zone, the city of Shakopee would not let Valleyfair do anything with that plot. So I don't even know what's going to happen with that, but they can't get rid of Excalibur to put something new there right now anyways. So at least there's that.
All right, so at least Excalibur is safe. Anything on Steel Venom, though? Because I know the Wicked Twister parts.
He also said that there are no plans to remove Steel Venom.
Okay.
And it's just like, and they invested a bunch of money in Steel Venom recently. I want to say it got a new control panel, but I know that it got a bunch of parts from Wicked Twister. And there was the issue this summer, but they spent a lot of money fixing that, so it would be kind of, redundant to remove it right after they spent all that money on it.
Yeah, I was getting a little worried this year, though. It's breaking down a lot. I'm just like,
it might be the end.
Yeah, Intamin, Mm-hmm. So like, talk about this, like, new roller coaster again. If this new roller coaster is successful, like, would Valleyfair get any more major coaster investments, or like not just roller coaster, but like just like bigger expansion plans? Like making the park bigger in terms of acreage or stuff like that.
So, Raul actually told us about how Cedar Fair sees Valleyfair as a park, and he said that they actually see Valleyfair as a park with a lot of potential. I was a little skeptical at first when I heard this, but Raul only took over Valleyfair in 2018, and keeping in mind that rides are planned a couple years before they get built. Think about how the future looked for Valleyfair in 2019. We had just gotten two major flat rides, North Star and Delirious.
Yeah.
And one of the noteworthy things as well is that Raul was the GM of California's Great America from 2009 to 2018, and he added 2 coasters there in just 9 years at the park. So I think when Cedar Fair moved Raul to Valleyfair, their plan was originally to do something on a similar timeline. But I think, that all of that was stepped back by a few years with the pandemic in 2020.
What has Valleyfair done to prepare for this future expansion? Because I know people are saying they're quote-unquote setting the table for new expansion. So how have they done that?
He told us, I'm going to do a quick step back, but also answer the question at the same time.
Okay, sure.
He told us about, the 2 main reasons we haven't gotten a coaster yet is, well, obviously I just talked about COVID, but number 2 is he told us how the year in Valleyfair's history with the highest ever attendance was 1996, and I think what opened at Valleyfair in 1996.
Wild Thing.
Exactly, Wild Thing. So basically the second reason is because we're setting the table for our next coaster, because we wouldn't be able to handle the capacity that a major roller coaster would the capacity would be boosted too far, and it would cause a negative guest experience. So what we have been doing is most of the bathrooms in the park are currently being renovated or have been renovated, and also Coaster's diner was renovated for 2022, right? Actually, some news we just got today in a newsletter about an hour ago. We found out that Excalibur and Wheel of Fortune and Super Cat are being put on Fast Lane for 2023.
What?
Yeah, but what's interesting to me about that is Excalibur, does not get that very, it doesn't get that long of a line most of the time. Right?
Oh, yeah, no.
So it's kind of interesting that they're putting it on Fast Lane, but one of the explanations for that could be if they're going to build a new coaster or something that's going to bring more people into the park, they're absolutely going to want, Excalibur to have Fast Lane, and the reason they're doing it now is because they're going to need to reroute the queue line for Excalibur if they're adding Fast Lane, because there isn't enough space right now with the current queue to add Fast Lane.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. One more thing I want to talk about was the Q4 Cedar Fair report for financial stuff, but in that they also detailed that they're going to spend $200 million every single year and a new coaster for each park in 5 years. So going back to what you said before, Like even Michigan's Adventure is going to get a new coaster in 5 years, or in that time frame. Which
what they said was like every big park will get one every 4 to 5 years, and they I don't think they actually said that Michigan's Adventure would get one like in the next 5 years, but they did say that they have like coasters are coming to every single park. So I think it is gonna like it could be in 5 years still, or within 5 years. But I think what they said on the earnings call is that there is a coaster that is going to come to every park. I think honestly for Michigan's Adventure that might mean a relocated ride from California's Great America, because it's closing within the next 11 years.
Oh yeah, definitely. I can definitely see that.
I think Patriot would be a great fit there. Also Railblazer, but I also want Railblazer at Valleyfair. So yeah, so I think they identified the top 5 parks in the chain as Cedar Point, obviously, Kings Island, Canada's Wonderland, Carowinds, and Knott's Berry Farm. Those are like the top 5, and all of those parks are going to get a $20-ish million coaster every 4 or 5 years now.
Knott's Berry Farm, though, I wonder what they're going to do there, because they don't have any room
for that.
Yeah, I mean, that'll wrap this segment of the video up, so thanks for calling, Mason, and yeah.
No problem.
So that will wrap up this video of part information and part speculation on the future of Valleyfair. And I gotta say, guys, I'm pretty excited for this, alright? I'm just ecstatic that Valleyfair is finally going to get the investment and love it needs. Once again, I want to thank Minnesota Thrills, aka Mason, for joining me on today's video, and I'll have a link in the description down below for you guys to check out his channel, and make sure to subscribe to him as well. And if you enjoyed today's video, then I would really appreciate it if you guys gave me a like. And what are your thoughts on the future of Valleyfair? Make sure to comment down below, and if you're brand new around these parts, I would encourage you to consider subscribing. Seriously, it will help me out a lot, and I would really appreciate it. But with all that said, guys, take it easy, and I'll see you next time on North Star Coasters.